Misfits Boxing is back November 19th in Austin, Texas. It is a heavyweight clash to top the bill. This is an exciting one, topping a stacked card over in Texas. On the line here in front of us, those headline guys, Hasim Rahman Jr., Vitor Belfort. Gentlemen, good evening or good morning in your area of the world. How are you both doing?
Very good sunny day. It's a good day here. We just finished training. I'm very excited as well for this combat. It's a legendary. It's so fun for me. It's boxing is being a martial arts that are being developed since, and I never be able to do both. And now I'd be able to fight one of the best prodigy in boxing, and I'm very excited for it.
Hasim, he calls you one of the best proteges in boxing. How are you doing, and how do you take a compliment like that?
First of all, I want to thank Allah for this opportunity. This is a great opportunity. So Bismillah, as we get this started. This is an amazing event. It's great to be a part of it, and I'm excited to be in there with a legend. This is a world champion, UFC's youngest world champion ever, still to this date. Brazilian Olympic alternate in boxing. This is a true martial artist and a true competitor. So I'm ready to get this thing kicked off and go ahead and prove why he speaks so highly of me.
I must say it's great to kick this off with such respect going both ways. But Hasim, I want to start with yourself. I get the impression that this is not going to be sort of a war of words as we see in some fights in the fight week. I don't sort of anticipate that. However, as the fight draws closer and ultimately that first bell goes, those pleasantries will start to fade away because you'll have to get into fight mode. How does that work for you, Hasim? How does that process go from utmost respect, great to see you, all the way to throwing punches at one another?
Well, I mean, I'm in there, like I said, I'm in there with the champion, so he'll know the answer to this question better than me because he's been there so many times before on the big stage, at the top of the bill, main event. He's done it all. He's been through a whole lot in his career. So, it's still a learning process for me, but I look to take advantage of it, put my best foot forward, and prove to the world why I'm one of the most dangerous people in combat sports in general.
Vitor, Hasim says he's looking to take an opportunity here. How do you stop him? How do you stop him knocking you out or taking the victory against you to prove the world what he's capable of?
First thing, fighting, you don't play sport. You don't play fight. You don't play boxing. It's a competitive thing. So every time I train, every time I compete, I compete to become the best of myself. So I'm looking to, put my game on, and it's like that. It's not the best fighter who wins, it's the fighter who fights the best. It's not the best team who wins, it's the team who fights the best. It's mentally, it's physically, it's emotionally. It's a lot of things goes beyond in preparation. So in life, I call that we have two animals. We have the lamb and the lion. You have to learn how to turn the switch. So I've been turning this switch on and off. And it's pretty amazing for me because at the end of the day, it's a competitive thing. I like to challenge myself, not against a YouTuber, not against someone who really it's an up and coming prodigy. It's much younger than me, so it's a great challenge. It's fun. It's like I'm boxing. It's a sport that I never had to be able to compete, and I'd be able to compete in with a high prodigy in boxing. So it's pretty cool. And in Texas, it's one of the greatest cities. It's fantastic fans. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm looking for that challenge.
Is the experience something you will rely on in there? You mentioned that boxing is a discipline that you have learned somewhat, but you really wanted to get involved in it a bit more. Now you're in there with someone like Hasim, who has extensive fight experience. If he does start to show that he can outbox a little more and he can move a little bit more than you anticipated, are you going to have to rely on the experience from the MMA world under huge pressure with audiences, TV cameras, the atmosphere all around you. Are you going to have to rely on that specific experience to get you through what we call the championship rounds, if you like? What you're going to have to do to get through a fight?
You have to rely in preparation. Preparation, you cannot prepare I don't believe in 8 weeks prepare. Training fight camp. I live my whole life in a life camp. I'm in life camp. Like some people, they take off, I live in life camp. With myself, with my kids, with my family. I approach everything in that kind of, my approach of life is like, you got to be ready. The opportunity will show up. So you got to be ready. So for me, it's just simple. It's do what I do. It's relying on the things that I do every day. I don't rely on nothing that I just did for 8 weeks. I don't rely on something that I did for 12 or 6 or 4 weeks. I don't rely on nobody else. Fighting, when you step on that ring, it's just you with your preparation, with your mind, with your body, with your habits. So that's where my confidence comes from. So whatever I do, it's boxing, raising kids, doing business. You got to come with what you do on a daily basis. So I believe in habits.
Hasim, just to use Vitor's last line there, which I thought was quite an interesting one. He believes in habits. He's had a long time to perfect these habits in the fight game. You look at some of his top victories over a combat career, and there's a couple of things that catch me in particular. Is the precision on certain shots. And spinning kicks. There's a couple in particular that I'm sure I'm sure you've seen. The spinning kick is obviously not relevant in this conversation, but his habits, as he's just referenced, are the certain shots, the left hooks, for example, that it seemed like something he's worked on. How do you combat this? How do you prepare, and what habits do you build to counter what Vitor is bringing to the table?
It's no different from any other fight, except for this is at a much, much, much higher level. So I have to be much, much more prepared. I have taken this 12 weeks or 8 weeks or however long it has been to prepare for the things that he does. So as long as, like he said, preparation is in order, that shouldn't be a problem. I've taken the time, I put in the work, and I'm ready to show that I can neutralize his best weapons and put something to work on my own. And you can't go swimming without getting wet. So he will have success on November 19th, and I will have success on November 19th. We just got to see who's going to be the better fighter on the night.
We spoke in London, in Sheffield, a couple of weeks ago at the Misfits event. You told me about your ambitions in boxing. You told me where you want to go. Now Vitor is here with us. What does a victory do for your career, for you as a person, and more importantly as a fighter, if you get the win over Vitor Belfort on November 19th?
It's pretty much like step one all over again. This is like a pro debut. I have an entire new audience that's watching. A lot of people have never seen me fight before. A lot of people are ready to see me fight, and a lot of people Vitor at the top level, and they've seen him compete and knock guys out at the top level, absolutely destroy guys. So come November 19th, we get to see like the rebirth of Hasim Rahman Jr.
Vitor, I can see you looking quite intently. You don't want to let anything slip past you, and I get that. What is it that Hasim is saying? What are you registering from what he is saying there? It's like a pro debut. He's going to neutralize you. What are you taking from these words?
It's just words are just words. Whatever I say here, just go to the air. For me, it's execution. And when it comes, when the bell rings, that's when it counts. Words you can say whatever. People do trash talk and they can do whatever it is. I'm in a phase of my life that, for me, I take one fight at a time. I'm not like trying to become a world champion in boxing. But one thing, I promise you, when I step in the ring, it's going to be a ferocious lions, with a lot of experience, hungry to looking for the victory, and every time. and I enjoy taking. You know, it's for me boxing. It's a much easier thing than MMA. Thinking about kicking, wrestling, and it's so complex. It's so hard, you know. So and the boxing that I developed through the years is different angles, you know, different punches. It's awkward. So it's, I mean, it's, I really believe in a junction of boxing, MMA, and one compact rules called BMA, boxing martial arts. And I can see a day where we're going to be able to merge this two sport in the rules. That's going to be the best fighting sport in the entire world. Because thinking about MMA, you know, when you start wrestling, grappling, it's hard to identify with that, you know. But I mean, boxing, it's such a unique, the story, the history in boxing. But when you put this two sport in one sport, comes with these unified rules that will benefit both. That's my dream. That's what I really believe in the future. So until that gets done, I go boxing. You know, it's hard to bring boxers into this kind of rules. But I think in this fight, we're going to be able to bring the audience of boxing world and the MMA world. And hopefully soon we can come up with this concept that I really believe called boxing martial arts. And I patent the glove. I have everything ready where we'll be able to grab the neck, you know, doing in a way that, you know, what the market is waiting for, this birth, this unification of this two sport.
Well, one step at a time, but maybe we see the first BMA event in the future. Hasim Rahman Jr. versus Vitor Belfort. Onto the fight at hand. Hasim, how much of Vitor's fights from a boxing perspective have you seen? Obviously, there's hundreds and hundreds of clips of MMA out there, but from a boxing perspective, what do you know of Vitor? Have you seen much of it, and what did you think of it?
I've seen some. You know, I've come to learn in my young career. My career hasn't been very long, but I've come to learn that you never fight the guys you see on tape. So with that being said, I have seen his fight against Holyfield, but I'm expecting him to come faster than anybody I've ever fought, stronger than anybody I've ever fought, and he'll be ready to go for the full length of the fight. So you know, I'm not really relying or even reading too much into what you can see on tape. We already know what he is. We already know what he does, what his strengths are, and we know that he's coming 100%. This is like a last hurrah for him. It's nothing more dangerous in the jungle than a hurt, wounded lion, and that's what he is. He's been hurt, he's been wounded, he's been down, but he's still fighting, and he's still hungry. And you can tell from the way he talks, he really is still in this, and like he said, he's lived this, so he's been hunting for a long, long time. It's just time for the birth of a new king.
Are you, Hasim, staying with you, are you going into this fight to look for the knockout? And maybe this is asking a silly question. Do you believe that you can knock out Vitor Belfort?
It's not about the knockout for me. For me, it's about going out there and showcasing my skills. I believe I have better skills. I believe I have the better. I believe I have the advantage in boxing, in the boxing ring. We're not in a cage. We're not in a triad, triangle. We're not anywhere but in a square circle. So, given everything that I've been through and everything that my opponent's been through, I just strongly believe that I'm coming out on top. But Allah is the best of planners. You never know what's going to happen in this fight. That's what makes it. That's what makes it so exciting. It's what makes the people really want to see it.
This certainly is one of the most intriguing matchups we've seen across the Misfits series so far. Vitor, I want to put the same question back to you. Having seen what you have of Hasim Rahman Jr., are you going to be looking for the knockouts? Are you going to be looking for the knockout on November the 19th? And do you believe you can knock him out? Do you think you can get that knockout victory?
You guys know my skills. You know what I come from. I come to finish. I don't come to, you know, for me, I have a samurai mentality. You know, I don't count the rounds. I'm prepared for life and death. That's how I always prepare from the combat sport. So it's like when I go to the ring, is like life and death for me. So it's urgency every time. So I'm alert. I know my skills are gonna be just fine. So I'm just there. It's like painting art. You don't know when it's gonna finish. You don't know how it's gonna finish. But when you go through the art, the process of it is just, whatever my opponent give me, that's what I'm gonna take it. So it's like that's how I fight. I fight. It's like I call it the flow. I fight in the flow, in the motion and the things that I do. And I have powers in my hands. I'm still fast. I'm still can do damage. So it's just about going through the motions. And fighting for me is like music. You dance into the beat. The beat was come, and you just imposing the will. That's how I fight.
I must say, you're both very calm going into this build-up. Do either of you foresee this mood changing? Because we've all seen different, numerous fight weeks in either sport come up, and fighters are very calm at the beginning of the campaign, and the closer you get, the realization gets closer that you're going to be fighting, you're going to be stepping in with it. That calmness can sometimes erode away. At the moment, you are both calmness personified. Do you both see that staying, or do you think it will? Do you think one of you might try and wind up the other one? Do you think mind games will kick in and maybe try and get a reaction out of the other one?
I mean, he definitely too old for that. So I don't think no mind games is being played. I think we both know what's coming. I know he's not coming in and play pity pat with me. He coming there to try to hurt me. So I'm not gonna be doing nothing to him that he's not trying to do to me. So that's what it is. We understand the fight game. Then you got two people that are ready to compete at a high level with it's high stakes. This is a high stakes boxing match. It's gonna be very fast paced and very explosive.
Vitor, if you get the win against Hasim, what does it mean for you? I mean, do you want to carry on? I know you spoke before about the plan for the BMA, but what happens in the immediate if you get the win?
I'm looking forward to implant that union of this two sport. I think that's where we'll be able to make entertaining fights, that breaking pay-per-view records, and I'm not talking about myself. I want to be the front runner of that unity of these two sports. That's my dream, to be able to create this unity in this sport. But until then, I love boxing. For me, it's something that it's like it's fun. It's for me. It's not a work for me. It's a fun. So I enjoy doing it, and I'm learning. And it's amazing, and be able to compete in a high level. That's what it takes. You got to compete. You cannot just prep something. You got to compete. You got to put it into tests. And November 19, man, is where I'll be able to test myself.
Absolutely. I just got to ask you very quickly before we begin to wrap up. Have you guys met in person?
No, I never had a chance to meet them in person. No, never. But it's gonna be fun. We're gonna meet in a good environment. We're gonna meet in a good environment, and like I said, we're gonna bring a high level competition. There's no one trying to. It's respect, and that's what martial arts comes with respect. Boxing is a respect artist. So, and the fights, what make people love it. People want to see fights. They don't want to see, because a lot of people, they talk crap and they go fight. They suck.
Hasim, were you going to say something there? Sorry.
Yeah, I met him before. He don't remember me though, but it's all right. It's all good. I met him in the Florida gym. He was training.
We met. Yeah, you're right. I think the thing is, like, as you get older, you're gonna see one day, the memories, and you have 3 kids, you have business, you have a lot of things.
Yeah, no, I understand. We'll be forever linked after this. So I look forward to sharing the ring with you, champ.
You too, my brother. I have much respect for you and the legacy that your father had. It's such a much respect. So fighting you, it's a challenge. And fighting like Jake Paul is not a challenge. So it's like fighting a bump a guy who's trying to promote his way up. And I mean, all the respect, but I mean, you're a real fighter. So I'm looking forward. I want to thank you, Chris, for this opportunity, man. Appreciate it.
This is a much tougher fight than what a fake Paul fight would be. So I appreciate it, and you know, people get to see why he don't want to fight either one of us. They'll see come November 9th.
I might have to make sure.
You know what?
I might have to make sure that the bleeper is installed for any mentions of certain fighters, but we won't go there. If I was doing my job properly, I would have tried to stir the pot a little bit there about one not remembering the other. But I get the impression that the respect there is too great either way. We're not going to get that, but it's honest, and I think that the fight fans will respect that. One thing that we've learned, one thing that we have learned from this is that we've got two warriors who respect, but also believe. And come fight night, we have got a hell of a fight on our hands. Hasim Rahman Jr., Vitor Belfort, November the 19th. We look forward to seeing you both in person and in the ring for fight week. For now, thank you both very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Please have a wonderful day. Take care, guys.
Thank you, guys.